What's up, everyone? It's JR again from Holy Faith TV. Just wanted to come on and answer a question that one of our loyal followers, somebody that's been watching on YouTube pretty much since we first started. His name is James, and he commented on one of my other videos asking, his question was whether or not he can continue to attend the Novus Ordo Mass. So he went on to say that for the last number of years, he has been slowly being convinced that he cannot go to the Novus Ordo Mass anymore. So I assume he's in a parish where there's quite a bit of liturgical abuse and things are pretty bad. Like most Novus Ordo parishes these days, unfortunately. So the way I wanted to answer the question is really by asking James more questions, because my answer depends on a number of things. So I believe the Novus Ordo Mass is valid, but that doesn't always mean that it's always good for your faith, for you to attend the Novus Ordo Mass. Let me explain. So you really have to start asking yourself a number of questions. How bad is the liturgical abuse at your parish? How much of a danger to your faith is the parish which you currently go to? Is there another parish nearby or within the vicinity of where you live that maybe says the Novus Ordo Mass but is better to go to? In my experience up here in Toronto, Canada, and in the Southern Ontario region, usually the best of the Novus Ordo Masses that you'll find, the best of them are usually at Polish Catholic parishes, and I would say probably the Croatians as well. The Croats usually have the best of as far as good of a Novus Ordo as you can get. Usually without a lot of liturgical abuse. You'll see very traditional, good vestments, incense, like I said, for a Novus Ordo Mass, they're usually the best out of a bad bunch. And then you'll find, on the other side, you'll find some really bad ones too. But in my experience, I would go with a Polish one, or I would go with a Croatian parish. So maybe you don't have those options available. What about Eastern rites? Do you have any Eastern Rite parishes close by? So up here in Toronto, up here in Ontario, we have a lot of Ukrainian Catholic parishes, and I would recommend you go there before you go to any Novus Ordo parish. I don't know whereabouts you live, James, but depending on where you are and how, let's say maybe you have one that's a 40-minute drive away, an Eastern Rite parish, I would probably go to that first. Now, unfortunately, even with some of these Eastern Rite parishes, sometimes you'll find novelties in their liturgy, like female altar servers, for example. I saw that at one Ukrainian Catholic church that I went to last year. But for the most part, your average Eastern Rite parish is going to be better than your Novus Ordo parish, for the most part. Now, maybe you don't have any of those options. So if that's the case, you have to look at the Novus Ordo with some of the abuses that are in. How bad are the abuses? Do you have kids? Are the kids' faith, is the faith of your children, is it going to be endangered by you going to this Novus Ordo parish? How bad is the modernism there? How liberal are they? Those are all questions that I think I would ask James before I really came to a decision. If you have a spouse, what does your spouse think of all this? I think that's something that you guys want to be on the same page about before you make any major decision. Although you should follow God first before your spouse, obviously. But you could save yourself a lot of trouble by making sure that you guys are on the same page before you make any major decisions about whether not to go to Mass or not. Now, Father Rippinger of the Fraternity of St. Peter, he says that and Father Rippinger, I believe he said he's done a few, I want to say up to 7,000 exorcisms. And he says that the demons seem to make no distinction between hosts that are consecrated in the Novus Ordo and hosts that are consecrated in the Tridentine Mass. And that could be true. I'm not an exorcist, I can't verify that, but from in my opinion, Father Ripperger is a pretty good source and somebody that seems to be, for the most part, quite honest. So I take his opinion with some level of authority. But that's really, James, I think you need to go through those questions. It's easy for me to say that. I'm up here in Toronto, Canada. We have pretty much every Eastern Rite available to us. We have quite a number of Tridentine Masses. We have an Anglican Ordinary parish. So it's easy for me to say that. I don't know exactly your situation, but will you, by you going to the Novus Ordo Mass, is it going to endanger your faith? Are there, a few abuses, and you could educate your children about the abuses and move forward? Or are the abuses and the modernism, is it just so bad, so rampant, that you just don't feel you can go anymore? Those are all questions I would ask myself. And I would definitely take some time to think about it. Sounds like you have already. I think you said in your comment that it's been a few years that you've slowly been coming to this conclusion. So, think about it. And another thing, so find a good Tridentine Mass parish, Motu Proprio parish, or maybe a good Society of St. Pius X priest, and talk it over with them. The answer that you're going to get from between those priests may be different, but definitely explain where you're coming from, and then make an informed decision based on that. So thanks once again, James. Thanks for asking the question, and thanks for being a loyal viewer of ours. We really appreciate your support, and hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend, even though it's almost over for most of you Americans. We still have an extra day up here in Canada. That's all for now.